Boys and girls, today we are going to talk about multiplication. Now we're going to start with something a little simple. So we're going to start with 2 digits multiplied by 1 digit numbers, right? So 2 digits multiplied by 1 digit. So let's say we have the numbers 25 multiplied by 3. Now, the first thing you have to do in a situation like this is that you have to align your numbers according to place value. So all the units must be written under the units, all the tens under the tens, and all the hundreds under the hundreds, thousands under thousands, and so on and so forth. So in this case, we have 25 multiplied by 3. So we are going to want to rewrite this question in the following way. So you're going to write 25, write your multiplication sign, and then 3. Now notice where I write my 3. My 3 is written under the units place. 5 is a unit, 3 is also a unit. Never make the mistake of writing things in incorrect numbers in incorrect place values. So for example, if I was to write my 3 here, that would make it a 30 and not necessarily a 3 anymore because it's in the tens place. Same way that this is not really a 2, it is a 20 because it is in the tens place. Hence, the whole number is 25. Now let's get to work. Just gonna fix this here real quick. Back where it belongs. Right. Now, when we work with multiplication, you need to understand that you first start by multiplying your units. That means you're multiplying from right to left. From right to left, right? So you're first going to start by multiplying 3 times 5, and then you're going to multiply 3 times 20, all right? So let's go. 3 multiplied by 5 will give you 15. Again, even here in this place here, we need to follow proper place value. So we're going to write 15. 3 times 5 is 15. Now we need to multiply 3 times 20. Now, there's a little trick that we use in order to make multiplication easy. Now, 3 times 20 might be a bit confusing for others. So here's what you do. Now, remember that this is a 20, right? A 20 is made up of the digits 2 and 0. This 0 is known as a placeholder. So what you do with the 0 is that you write it down before multiplying. Now that you've written it down, all you need to do is multiply 3 by 2 and not 3 by 20 anymore, right? And you'll see why in a second. 3 multiplied by 2 will give us 6. You write the 6 right next to the 0. Now the reason why we wrote down our 0 is because we want to make multiplying simpler, right? So instead of saying 3 times 20, we then said 3 times 2. And it gave us the correct answer because 3 times 20 is actually 60, right? Now that we've multiplied 3 times 5 and 3 times 20, all we have to do is to add the numbers together. So 5 plus 0 will give you 5. 1 plus 6 will give you 7. 25 times 3 is equal to 75. And that is your final answer. Let's play around with another one. So, say we have 66 multiplied by 4. Once again, what is the first thing that you're supposed to do? Rewrite your numbers according to place value. So you're going to start with 66 multiplied, never forget your multiplication sign, by 4. And then you're going to underline. Now you're starting. Remember, 4 times 6 and then 4 times 60. So let us start with 4 times 6. 4 multiplied by 6 should give you 24. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Write down the 24. 2 in the tens place, 4 in the units place. Right. Now it's time to multiply 4 by 60. Now remember the trick that I taught you before. Since this is 60, you're first going to write down the placeholder in the units place, and then you're going to say 4 times 6, which we have established is 24. Now that we've multiplied both numbers, what do? We add. 4 plus 0 is equal to 4. 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. We're not adding anything to the 2, so we're just going to write it down as it is. Final answer, 264. 264. Now, let me give you a couple to do by yourself, and then we'll see if you know how to multiply 2 times one-digit numbers. So, A, B, C. So, we're going to start with 12 times 5, and then move on to 37 times 6, and then move on to 49 times 9. Now, please pause the video and try to answer the questions on your own. Did you get your answers? Let's see if you answered correctly. So let's start here with 12 multiplied by 5. 12 times 5. Underline. Remember, we're starting with 5 times 2 and then 5 times 10. So 5 times 2 is 10. Now it's 5 times 10. Once again, 10 has a placeholder, so we're going to write it down here. And then we're going to say 5 times 1, which is 5. Write the answer next to the 0. 5 times 10 is equal to 50. Now all we need to do is to add. 0 plus 0 is equal to 0. 1 plus 5 is equal to 6. So your final answer, change the color, is 60. Let's move on to the second one. 37 multiplied by 6. 37 multiplied by 6. We're first going to rewrite our numbers according to place value. Underline quickly. What are we multiplying first? That's correct. We're first going to start by multiplying 6 multiplied by 7, and that should give us 42. And then we're going to say 6 multiplied by 30. Once again, we're going to write down our 0 as a placeholder because 30 has 1 0. And then we're going to say 6 times 3. Well, let's count in multiples of 6. 6, 12, 18. Our answer is 18. Write the 18 right next to the placeholder. Now that we've multiplied both numbers, all we need to do now is add. 2 plus 0 is 2. 4 plus 8 is 12. Now, because it's 12, we can't just write 12 here at the bottom. What we actually need to do is write down the 2 from 12, and then we're going to carry the 1 onto the next number. Now we're going to add those numbers together. 1 plus 1 should give you 2. So 37 multiplied by 6 is equal to 222. Now let's move on to our final question. 49, let me change the color back, sorry about that. Rewrite your numbers according to the proper place value. 49 multiplied by 9. Alright? Remember, we're going to start with the units. 9 times 9 should give you 81. And then 9 times 40. Now 40 has 1 0, 4 and 0. So we're going to take that 0, write it down here. So instead, all we need to multiply is 4 times 9 or 9 times 4. And that should give us 36. Where do you write the 36? Right next to the 0. Now we need to add. 1 plus 0 is 1. 8 plus 6. What is 8 plus 6? That should give you 14. Now in the number 14, we're going to write down the 4. Carry the 1. 1 plus 3. That should give us 4. Final answer, 441. Right. Now let us move on to our second category. 2-digit numbers multiplied by 2-digit numbers. Right? So we're gonna do 2, and then I'm gonna give you yours to do. Say we have 22 times 17, and then we have 56 times 18. Now, once again, everything is rewritten according to proper place value. 22. Now we're multiplying it by 17. So 17 is made up of 10 and 7. So the 1 is in the tens place and the 7 is in the units place. Right. Now it's time to multiply. Now, what needs to happen here is 7 must multiply 2 and then 20. When we're done doing that, sorry about that. When we're done doing that, 10 must multiply 2 and then 10 must multiply 20. So essentially, both the digits underneath must multiply both the digits that are on top, or vice versa. So let's go. 7 multiplied by 2, that should give you 14. 7 multiplied by 20. Now remember, 20 has a 0. Now that we've written the 0, instead of saying 7 times 20, we can easily say 7 times 2, which again we know to be 14. Write the 14 right next to the 0. Now we've multiplied 7 with all the numbers on top, so it's now time to multiply 10 with all the numbers on top. Now 10 has a 0, so we're going to write it down, and instead of saying 10, we're going to say 1. So it's 1 times 2, right? 1 times 2, and that should give us, let me write down the 0. 1 times 2 should give us 2. Right. Now it is 10 times 20. Now between the two numbers, 10 and 20, there are 2 zeros. 1 for 10 and 1 for 20. This means we're going to write down 2 placeholders. 1, 2. Now let's multiply. 1 times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. It's now time to add everything together. 4 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0. That should give me 4. 1 plus 4 is 5. Plus 2 is 7. Plus 0 is 7. That's 7. And then finally, 1 plus 2 is 3. Final answer, 374. Now let us quickly multiply 56 multiplied by 18. Again, the first thing you're going to do, write everything down in order. The first numbers you're going to multiply are 8 multiplied by 6. And 8 multiplied by 6 will give you 48. Now it's time to multiply 8 times 50. Once again, 50 has a 0, a placeholder. So write down the placeholder. So instead we have 8 times 5. And that should give us 40. Write down the 40 right next to the 0. Next, we need to multiply 10 times 6. Right? 10 multiplied by 6. Once again, 10 has a place. Since 10 is a placeholder, we're going to write down the 0. So it's only 1 times 6. And that should give us 6. Writing that next to the 0 as well. Next, we have 10 times 50. Right? 10 has a placeholder. 50 has a placeholder. So all we need to do is say 1 times 5. And that will give us 5. which checks out because 10 times 50 is equal to 500. Now that all of the numbers have been multiplied, we need to add. 8 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 will give you 8. 4 plus 0 plus 6 plus 0 will give you 10. So we write down the 0, carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5 plus 5 is 10. Now because there's no other number to carry the 1 to, we're going to write 10 as it is. Final answer, 1008. It is now time to move on to the final section, which is 3-digit numbers multiplied by 2-digit numbers. The same principles apply for this one here as well. So A, B, and then you're going to do C by yourself. So firstly, we have 171 multiplied by 25. And then we have 823 multiplied by 54. And then lastly, we have 625 multiplied by 16. So let's go. 171, rewriting the numbers. 25. Place value, again, very important. Now let's begin. 1 times 5 will give me 5. 5 times 70. 70 as a placeholder. So write down the 0. So now it's 5 times 7, which will give me 35. Next to 0. 5 times 100. 100 has 2 zeros. So now it's only times 5, 1. It's only 5 times 1, which is 5. 5 times 100 is 500, so it checks out. Now that we've multiplied those numbers, it is now time to multiply 20 by all the numbers on top, all the digits on top. So 20 as a placeholder, so we write down the placeholder here. 20 times 1 is equal to 20. Now because we've written down the placeholder, we can just say 2 times 1, which is 2. Write it next to the 0, which makes sense because 20 times 1 is equal to 20. Next, we're going to say 20 times 70. Now, both of these numbers have placeholders. So here's a 0 for 20. Here's a 0 for 70. 2 times 7, that should, well, give us 14. Write down the 4 and the 1. So that's 14. Now it's time for the last bit to multiply. 20 times 100. Well, 20 has 1 0. 100 has 2 zeros. So instead of saying 20 times 100, we've written down those zeros. We can safely say 2 times 1, which is 2. Now that we've done that, all we need to do now is to add our numbers together. 5 plus a bunch of zeros will give us 5. 5 plus 2 will give us 7. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. So write down the 2, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 2, 4. Final answer, 4,275. Now we can move on to our next question. 823 times 54. Let's line things up correctly. Four multiplied by 3, 4, 8, 12 will give us 12. 4 multiplied by 20, well, 20 as a placeholder, so 0. 4 times 2, however, is 8, which checks out because 4 times 20 should give you 80. Next, we have 4 times 800. Now, 800 has 2 placeholders, 2 zeros. So 4 times 8, we've written down the placeholders. 4 times 8 should give us 32. 4 times 8 should give us 32. And we write down the 32 right here, next to the zeros. Next, we are now multiplying the 50 and all the numbers on top. 50 times 3. Well, 50 has a placeholder, we write it down. So now it's 5 times 3, which is 15, next to the 0. Next, 50 times 20, one placeholder for 50, one placeholder for 20. And now we have 5 times 2, which is 10. 10 next to the zeros. Next, 50 times 800. 50 has 1 0, 800 has 2 zeros. 5 times 8 is 40. Write down the 40. Underline. It is now time to add everything. 2 will give us 2. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. 4, carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1, 4. 3 plus 1, 4. And then we write down the 4 as it is. Our final answer will be 444,000 and... No, sorry. It's actually 44,442. Yes. I got a bit confused there. This one looks like a tongue twister. 44,442. Now pause the video and try to do the last one on your own. Have you gotten the answer? Let's work it out. 625 multiplied by 16. 6 times 5 should give us 30. 6 times 20, 20 as a placeholder. So 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 600, 600 is 2 placeholders. 6 times 6. 6 times 6 is equal to 36. Now we're done with the 6. It is now 10's turn. Pun. So 10 has a placeholder, so it's 10 times 5 placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 10 times 5 is 50. 10 times 20, one placeholder for 10, one placeholder for 20. 1 times 2 is equal to 2. 10 times 600, one placeholder for 10, two placeholders for 600. 1 times 6 is equal to 6. Now we just add our numbers together. 0. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 5 is 10. So 0 and carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 6, 8, plus 2, 10. 0, carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. Our final answer will be... Nope, this does not look right at all. I made a mistake somewhere. Can you point out where the mistake is? Yep. So look at where I carried this 1. Can you see that? I was supposed to have carried the 1 right over here. I ignored the 3. So instead, what I have to do is say 1 plus 3, which is 4, plus 6, that will give me 10. So this 7 has got to go. Write the 10 next to the zeros because there's no other number to carry over to. So then our final answer becomes 10,000. Our final answer is 10,000. And that's how you multiply 3-digit by 2-digit numbers. I will leave some questions on the description of the video. Please make sure to watch them. Thank you.